Last year, while hiking through the mountains of Okinawa, I met Dr. Alka Patel. She had the glowing skin and effortless stride of someone in her early 30s. When I asked her age, she said, "I'm 52. I stopped mid-step, my jaw nearly hitting the forest floor. But then she leaned in and added, "But I'm also 23. I was completely confused. She explained that after a near-death experience at 39 caused by organ failure, she completely redesigned her life by using specific micro-habits to re-engineer her health. Today, her birth certificate says 52, but her cells are biologically 23. Habit 1. The metabolic break. Most people think that to stay fit and look young, they need to follow a restrictive, miserable diet. But the problem isn't just what you eat, it's the metabolic storm you create every time you eat too much. This is why people who overeat often look puffy or aged. They are literally oxidizing from the inside out. In Okinawa, Japan, they use a 2,500-year-old habit called hara hachi bu, eating until you are only 80% full. This 20% gap is the secret to biological youth. The Okinawans have a low body mass index throughout their lives. They don't just live longer, they stay younger longer. They have the cleanest arteries in the world and the lowest rates of hormone-dependent cancers because their insulin levels stay low and stable. High insulin is the primary driver of aging. It signals the body to store fat and stop repairing cells. When you stop at 80%, your body stays in repair and burn mode rather than store and decay mode. Habit 2. The sedentary athlete trap. We have been sold a lie about fitness. We think that if we sit in a chair for 8 hours and then suffer through a grueling 1-hour CrossFit session, we are fit. But research led by Dr. Mark Hamilton at the Pennington Research Center revealed a dark truth. You cannot exercise away the damage of 8 hours of sitting. This is why the average young adults have a stiff back and a slow metabolism despite going to the gym 3 times a week. They are sedentary athletes. On the other hand, in the blue zones, the environment nudges people into movement. They garden, they walk to the market, they knead bread. This is called NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. Dr. James Levine of the Mayo Clinic put sensors on lean people and obese people and tracked every micro-movement for weeks. The results showed that the leanest, most active-looking people were the ones who stood, paced, and fidgeted for an average of 2.5 hours more per day than the sedentary group, and as a result of this natural movement, they burned an extra 350 to 500 calories a day without even realizing it. Break the 8-hour freeze. Take a call while walking. Use a standing desk. Keep your body in a constant biological hum. You don't need to be a marathon runner. You just need to stop being a statue. Habit 3. Environmental shielding. The Korean philosophy. Most people think of aging as something that happens to them from the inside out. But for the people of South Korea, home to some of the most biologically young-looking people on Earth, aging is seen as an external attack that must be blocked. In the West, we often wait until we see a wrinkle to buy an expensive cream. In Seoul, the philosophy is prevention over cure. They understand that UV radiation and urban pollution are responsible for nearly 80% of the visible signs of aging. But this isn't just about vanity. To see the physical proof that aging is an environmental choice, we only have to look at a landmark case study published in the New England Journal of Medicine. It featured a 69-year-old delivery driver who had spent 28 years with the left side of his face exposed to the sun through his truck window, while the right side remained in the shade. The difference was staggering. The sun-exposed side looked 80 years old, deeply wrinkled, leathery, and sagging, while the shaded side looked 50. His genetics were identical, but his environment had overwritten his DNA. This happens because UV damage creates senescent cells, also known as zombie cells. By wearing a high-quality SPF every single day, even on cloudy days, you are quite literally preventing the creation of these age-accelerating zombies. Habit 4. The glymphatic flush. We live in a culture that treats sleep deprivation as a badge of honor. But if you want to lose your edge and look 10 years older, the fastest way to do it is to skip your rest. Cristiano Ronaldo famously works with an elite sleep coach to master 90-minute recovery cycles because he knows his body cannot repair itself while he is awake. Inside your brain, there's a trash disposal system called the glymphatic system. Research from the University of Rochester found that this system is 10 times more active during deep sleep. More importantly, deep sleep is when your body releases human growth hormone. This is your natural youth drug that repairs muscle and keeps your skin thick and elastic. Without it, you are literally starving your body of its own repair kit. To reclaim your prime, you need a digital sunset. All blue light screens off 1 hour before bed. This allows your natural melatonin to signal the deep clean to begin. Consistent sleep isn't just rest, it's a nightly biological upgrade. Habit 5. Hormesis, the survival trigger. One of the greatest dangers to your youth is comfort. We live in climate-controlled rooms, sit in padded chairs, and eat soft food. But your body was designed for the wild. It was designed to handle challenges. When you are too comfortable for too long, your body assumes it no longer needs to be strong, so it begins to down-regulate its repair systems. The most fit people on Earth, from elite athletes to the centenarians of the blue zones, embrace a concept called hormesis. This is the idea that a microdose of stress actually makes you younger. Look at the case of Dr. Joseph Dituri. In 2023, this 55-year-old researcher spent 100 days living in a pressurized pod 30 feet below the surface of the Atlantic Ocean. When he finally emerged, the medical results shocked the scientific community. His inflammatory markers had dropped by half. His cholesterol had plummeted. Biologically, Dituri had reversed his age by 10 years in just 3 months. Why did this happen? It wasn't magic. It was a massive dose of hormesis. By living in a high-pressure environment, his body was forced into a survival mode upgrade. The pressure signaled his cells to produce massive amounts of stem cells and triggered a deep cellular cleanup. Now, you don't need to live in a submarine for 100 days to get these results. The goal is to find microdoses of this pressure. When you jump into a cold shower for 60 seconds or push your heart rate to the limit for a 1-minute sprint, you are sending a survival signal to your DNA. You are telling your body, the environment is getting tough. We need to upgrade our hardware. Habit 6, the vibe factor. Most self-improvement advice focuses on the gym and the kitchen, but it ignores the social atmosphere you live in. Biologically, your body cannot distinguish between a tiger in the bushes and a toxic boss or a stressful social circle. Both trigger the release of cortisol. In Sardinia and Okinawa, people don't go through life alone. They have moais, small groups of lifelong friends who share their burdens. This creates a constant background hum of oxytocin and serotonin, which are the direct biological antidotes to cortisol. To reverse your biological age, you must audit your social circle. Your most powerful evidence for this isn't just a theory. For over 80 years, researchers tracked the lives of 724 men and their families. Their conclusion was staggering. The single strongest predictor of who would stay healthy and biologically younger into their 80s was not their cholesterol levels or their grit. It was the quality of their relationships. Those who were most satisfied in their relationships at age 50 were the healthiest at age 80. Habit 7, the mental spark, ikigai. The final habit is the most subtle, yet it acts as the master switch for your DNA. It's the Japanese concept of ikigai, your reason for being. Most people in their 30s begin to settle. They stop taking risks, they stop learning truly new skills, and they fall into a repetitive loop. But here's the biological danger. When your brain stops being challenged, it begins to physically prune itself. This mental shrinking eventually manifests as a physical slowing, a shorter gait, a slumped posture, and a loss of that vibrant look in the eyes. If you want to stay biologically young, you must remain a student. Whether it's mastering a new sport, a complex language, or a demanding business skill, staying in a growth phase is a non-negotiable requirement for your repair systems to stay active. When you look at Dr. Alka Patel or a 100-year-old hiker in Greece, you aren't looking at luck. You are looking at the result of a specific architecture of life. These people don't wake up and try to stay young. They have simply built a world where healthy choices are the default. They eat until 80% full because that is the culture. They move all day because their environment demands it. They protect their skin, they prioritize their rest, and they keep their mental spark alive because they have a purpose. You don't need to move to a Mediterranean island to reclaim your youth. You don't need a team of world-class coaches. You just need to stop participating in the habits that are quietly making everyone else old.